What has been your most frightening moment ever as an actor, either in the last year on your show or any moment that sticks out in your career?
Keep in mind, the actresses, they had great answers.
Yes.
We asked the same question.
So it's a contest.
But they probably weren't that funny.
No. Some of them were.
Showing their boobs.
You're talking about
One of them
in
talked
your
about kissing
career
Brad Pitt,
as
so that
you're
was...
talking about in your career as an actor,
As an actor,
working as an
either
actor, or
during a
not working
performance.
as an actor.
It could be during not working as an actor.
Yeah, that would probably be mine. Is just living in LA for 10 years and not working, and having no money and no prospects and.
So every day was a frightening.
Well, the days were actually kind of great. It was the long nights where you're sitting staring at the ceiling waiting for the phone to ring, and it was that part is the uncertainty is always a difficult part. At least has been for me.
How about the rest of you? How did you cope with the uncertainty of getting into the craft whenever you started?
Well, I've never been out of work, so
You're gonna make me eat cheese.
mine was actually, I was doing the Glass Menagerie, and it was the top of the second act, and I forgot a vital prop.
Which was?
And I can't even remember. So obviously it wasn't that vital.
Glass animal.
But I had, and the theater was the Royal Alex, and my dressing room was on like the 4th floor.
Jesus.
And I had to go from underneath the stage where I would come up all the way to the 4th floor, grab the prop, run all the way back. I had this huge monologue, and by the time I got to my place and the curtain came up, I'd lost all wind. And I had just everything, trying to get my composure back and the dialogue and everything else, and it didn't work. And I almost got to the moment where I actually said, sorry. I was just right there. And then I caught my breath and went on. But it was the idea of actually having to look at 2,000 people and say, sorry, can we start again? And I get it if you're 80 and you've done this forever and the memory starts to go, but not at 30.
I think the memory goes anytime. I did something in New York a while ago, and I'd never had this experience before where you actually get a vacation. So I was working for a year, so I took a week off. The first night I got back, I forgot everything. So I just stood there going like, holy shit. And it was just a blank. And I did apologize to the audience because you could do anything, And I said, I'm going to need a minute. I walked off stage and I said, what am I doing? Oh, well, then it came back to me slowly but surely. But it was an alarming moment.
Well, there's always that story about Olivier, and I can't remember what he was doing, but he had come on, and he'd done the play, my God, 100 times in the course of his career, and he had come on, and he got maybe 6 lines in, had to call for line, and the whole audience gasped.
Wow.
And then he went on, got about 4 more lines in, and had to call again, and then said, I'm sorry, we'll start again. Started again, got through almost the first act, and it started again. And he literally had to call line every 5-6 lines for the rest of the performance, and was crying during the performance. And at the end of it, said, you will all get your money back, but if I didn't finish, I would never have been able to do this again. And he was crying at the end of the performance, and they gave him a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And
that other Olivier story when he's back in the dressing room and he's cowered under his dressing room table, and he's sort of shaking and he looks anxious and paranoid and worried, and the dresser comes and he's been playing Othello, and the dresser comes in and he says, Lord Olivier, that was just the most extraordinary performance I think any of us have ever witnessed. And he's under the table and he's going, I know, but why?
but why, yeah.
And he's really just
The dresser was John Hurt.
That would be enough. That kind of experience, Kelsey, on that, or would be enough to drive me out of the business. I think, because I love it. I love to act, but if it ever got to the point where you couldn't really fulfill your job, I think that's when I would hang it up.
Yeah.
I was on stage
Maybe it's
with,
time for a different job.
exactly.
Living.
We're doing Ray Fiennes played a quite well-regarded Hamlet on Broadway, and I was playing Laertes, and we had this incredible sword fight, which had been choreographed by this fantastic choreographer who'd done the Three Musketeers movie, and it got quicker and quicker every night as we got more and more hungover, I think. I don't know how that works, it's sort of inversely, but we partied pretty hard on that job, I remember. But anyway, so one day it was going quicker and quicker, and I got hit by the pommel of his sword. We made a mistake, and blood just started pouring out of my eye. And Rafe at that point had turned around as Hamlet, sort of, a hit, a palpable hit, whatever, and hadn't turned around until he'd seen me lying on the floor with blood covering half of my face. You know how much the head bleeds. And he came up to me and he carried on doing his dialogue, and Rafe's got these crazy eyes anyway, and he got closer and closer, and, are you okay? And I said, I don't know, you tell me, is my eye still in? Because I couldn't feel, I didn't know. And then we got to the end of the show, and I went off to the hospital. I had like 6 stitches straight across the top of my...
But you finished?
We finished, and everyone, all you could hear in the audience was, oh my God, this is amazing.
How did they do that to the blood?
It's late in the play, though. I mean, it was, it comes very late. It's like Act 5.
Where's the capsule?
How about you, Peter? You were going to say something.
It's just interesting to me that live theater is the most humbling, of our pursuits. There's no safety net like you have in television and film, and I'm sitting here very nervous because I don't know that I can tell my most terrifying stage story, but I'm gonna try. I was doing a summer stock in Woodstock, New York, and unbeknownst to me, we shouldn't have been drinking the well water. And I was on stage in an Anne Bogart production of Once in a Lifetime. Yeah, has some cheese. Has some cheese and banana real fast. But Anne Bogart, very avant-garde director, was doing a Kaufman Hart play, Once in a Lifetime, had all the men in tuxedos. I was playing the role of Lawrence Vale, who's a playwright who's sent to Hollywood when they first start making the talkies. And there's this kind of weird dance number. I'm trying to find Mr. Glowgower, who's played by a great actor, Mark Margolis. And I build a sculpture out of chairs. I'm doing this dance number. I wind up face away from, it's in a barn, it's summer stock, face away from the audience, all behind me, wearing a tuxedo with my legs spread apart, incredible gastronomic pain. And I do what I can to try and alleviate the pressure. And of course, things progress to a point where I wouldn't want them to. And I'm in a panic. I'm up there on stage, soiled myself. I have to go off stage because it's summer stock. Then I have to play one of the Marx Brothers. I can't remember the word, but I was the grouchy character with the glasses, had a cigar, and we had to get in a line, like this. I was third to the last, there was one guy taller than me. We had to dance like this, going leg to leg, coming back in on stage right before the act break. And all I could think about was like, how far is it to the lodge where I can get to the bathroom and change myself? And that was definitely the most terrifying experience I've ever had as an actor. And but it's that stuff, live theater takes the cake, man. Like what I was doing after the fall on Broadway, there are nights I wanted to go run out on the street and not get on stage. Just terrifying.
I did
shit
that
yourself.
On stage. Yeah. I farted once in a show. That was the fart heard around the world.
Did the audience respond?
Oh, completely. It was just,
What, by farting back?
we were doing the
Classic call and
Tale.
response.
And there was I played Florizel, and they had staged this sort of rustic dance that was kind of a wedding ceremony at the same time. So the virgin Indian girl is lying, on the floor downstage, and there's a circle of people around, and they're chanting and drums, and there's a great silence as the young prince goes to lift up his bride to be. So I went down like that and slipped my hands underneath her and once again I'm facing upstage. But so all of a sudden the circle of actors all turn around and go like this.
I'd have called out her name.
Yeah.
Damn it, Cindy.
How could you?